All right, let's see what we got. I heard the beep. We should be on. Definitely on. Hey, what's going on, party people? Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. It's definitely a great pleasure to have you guys here. Now, I go by the name of Lespri. I am a spiritual healer. And essentially, what I do as a spiritual healer is that I help people to attain their highest level of consciousness. Now, in this channel, to give is to receive. And by the way, check out my other channel, L'Esprit. In this channel here, what I do, I specifically pretty much expand on what you call quotes, old saying, or proverbs, and I call those the power of words. So technically, as a spiritual healer in this channel, I use the power of words to help you to attain your highest level of consciousness. And when I'm talking about the power of words, what I'm referring to is is those sentences or certain statement that are used a certain way to illustrate certain point, right? So let's just say, when you look at a quote, right? So what the quote does to me, when I'm talking about the power of the words, or the power of words, to me, I get to see it through the structure on how those quotes are being said. So then I realize it isn't necessarily the meaning of a word that makes the word powerful, but it's the structure on how those sentences or those words are being put together. In other words, it's not necessarily what you say, but it's how you say it. And in a lot of those short statements, the way things are being said, the way they pretty much capture your attention without you even asking for it, and the ability that those statements have to make you more receptive to what to the knowledge that is being displayed into that quote or statement. I mean, to me, that's what makes it powerful. So when I'm talking about the power of words, to me, that's what that is. And I get to experience how the words get to act out on me. When I heard a certain thing being said a certain way, it gives me that again, for lack of better terms. But what I'm truly saying here, in this channel, we use a lot of those quotes, because we understand that those are the power of the words. And the reason why they are power of words is because, as I stated, the way they capture your mind and get you to become more receptive to the knowledge that is being displayed in those quotes. Or let's just say, have you ever heard a quote where, you may feel inspired, motivated, or even enlightened? All of that, your reaction to it is how the words are, is pretty much acting out on you. It's being acted on you. So to me, that's what I call the power of words. So that's what we do here in this channel. So we use those quotes, and I get to expand a lot more on those. And of course, the purpose here is for us to attain, our highest level of consciousness, right? So, a couple of disclaimer, or well, one disclaimer, I guess I would definitely say. So for me, um, like I always say, knowledge is knowledge. I mean, wisdom is wisdom, regardless of where you come from. See, even the way this is being put together, what I'm truly saying. Okay, I'm saying that to say, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys get the point. I just don't feel like I need to break it down that much. But anyway, a disclaimer: wisdom is wisdom, regardless of where it comes from. So a lot of the quotes that I choose to talk about, the ones that I'll be talking about tonight, is actually from Buddha, but I use quotes from voodoo, from African, let's just say, spirituality. I use the Bible. I use the Sufis, Gnostics. Wisdom is wisdom to me. Just because, let's just say, if a 5-year old is saying something true, I mean, it doesn't make it less true because it's coming out of a 5-year old mouth. Do you see what I'm saying? So wisdom is wisdom regardless of where it comes from. So to me, when it comes to wisdom, to expanding my knowledge, I don't I don't put myself in a box. So a lot of those quotes, just so you guys know, as a disclaimer, I mean, they stem from many different sources. If it's dope, I talk about it. That's it. Um, Let me see if there's anything else I need to say. I don't think so. Now, with that being said, let's delve right into it, guys. So, as you see in the title, so I had to pretty much, I mean, what you'll see, the title, I mean, I had to condense it a little bit because, I mean, it would be kind of hard for me to just put this whole sentence here. But anyway, men cannot live without spiritual life. That would be the title. But the actual quote in itself goes like this: just as candle cannot burn without fire, man cannot live without a spiritual life. Oh man, I gotta let this marinate for you guys. Because if you truly understand this statement, because this is a fully loaded statement, and here's something else that I forgot to mention regarding those quotes. They are fully loaded statements. A lot of those sentences, there's a bunch of wisdom that is being packed into them. And, we have to unpack a lot of them because it's almost like there is so much that is being said without verbally being said. And that's the beauty of it, by, those quotes cap- capturing your mind and now making you more receptive and allow you to delve more and to unpack the wisdom that is actually being displayed in those sentences, right? So going back to this, just as Kindle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without spiritual life. God damn it, guys. I don't think you understand this. I mean, of course, I mean, you don't have to. That's why I'm here. We're going to delve into it. But it's just to me, like, there is so much that is being said here. And even the first time when I read it, and I even decided to talk about it. And ironically, just so you guys know, on my other channel, I have a similar recording that I did yesterday. And I didn't, know this actually existed until, I was looking up a few of the Buddha's quote. And I came across that one. I'm like, ooh, okay. But it's very similar in terms of if you're looking for more details, and I think I go a lot, I mean, in length, it's almost a 2-hour video. But anyway, getting back to this, guys, listen, if you understand this, you there, baby. You there. Because for you to understand this statement, you would have to understand your essence. And a lot of us are ignorant to our own nature, meaning we don't know who we are, or the way we identify ourselves mostly with our external part or external yeah, I mean, uh, with the external part of us. Because now, if you understand how candle work, right? So the candle, I mean, can't do its thing without fire. So if you can understand this about you and understanding how spirituality is your essence, man, like, you got it. Because essentially, that's what this is saying here. But let's unpack it because there's so many different things here to talk about, right? So think about it this way, guys, right? So a lot of us who were born, right? So as we were born, like, we were raised in a family, you know, you were taken care of, but you also had to go to school. So the aspect of you going to school is is pretty much, letting you know that outside of, you being taken care of at your house, you doing, you eating, you being sheltered, and you feeding yourself, you're doing all those great stuff. In addition to that, you need to be educated. Now, the education part of yourself, it's as needed as you brushing your teeth, as you taking a shower, or as you feeding yourself. if not more. But for the sake of this conversation here, it is as needed. I mean, and what that simply means is, as you taking care of yourself, let's just say you're feeding yourself, you're taking a shower, you're doing all these things, you also got to take care of that too. So a lot of us, even as a kid, we went to school, we're doing all of that. I'm trying to get you to see how in our personal life, right? How although we may not identify ourselves with, let's just say, the spirituality part of us, but we understand there is more to us than what it appears to be. That is the reason why, even when Jesus said, man cannot live off of bread alone, but you also must live of everything that comes out of God's mouth or God's wisdom. What this is referring to, this is addressing your essence. This is letting I mean, again, and I'm not going to delve too much into the God part yet, but to talk about us, for us to thrive, for you to become a better person, in addition to you, let's just say, taking a shower, fucking, and doing everything else that you do for your body, you gotta water your garden. You have to water you gotta feed your mind. And you feeding your mind now, that's what's gonna make you whole. So for you to thrive as a person, just like as a kid, we have to go to school, we do all of that, but we understand as a kid is developing, knowledge and understanding and education would make a kid better. So I'm using this example here so you could make the connection. I'm trying to help you to connect the dots because a lot of us, we don't truly understand how the words, in order for the words to be made flesh, and again, what I'm also saying to you here is that spirituality is also your regular life. That's the connection I'm trying to help you to, that's the dot I'm trying to help you to connect here. Because here we go in this, we're not saying anything about spirituality here. Let's just talk about our regular life. So for you to thrive as a human being, to be your best version, outside of you, I don't know, sucking dick, whatever the fuck you do, right, for your body, or eating or dick and pussy, you gotta feed your mind. And that feeding your mind is that part of you now that allows you to see things better, have better reasoning, have better logic, and see, have a better inner vision so you know how to move in this life. So again, this is already implying that there is more to us than just our physical self. And also, our non physical aspect is as important as our physical part. Because if you're going back to the statement, he's talking about the candle, right? Because the candle is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not a candle if there's no fire, but I mean, it's not going to be useful if if you don't light it up. I mean, it's still going to be a candle, but for it to do what it does, for it to burn, to bring that light to other people or to your area, you have to light it up. So it's the same thing for us. For us to thrive, for us to become our better version, you got to tap into your spiritual life. Again, in that recording, and I strongly recommend that you guys check it out, I was mainly talking about how, shit, I don't even, what was the title of that thing? Hold up. Yo, I'll be tripping. All right, I guess we're definitely back on. I'm not sure what just happened, but somehow it kind of stopped by itself. What the fuck? But anyway, I'm back. Going back to what I was talking about before. Um, yeah, so I kind of didn't remember the actual recording that I did yesterday, but the title of it was "Your Purpose is to Attain God Consciousness," and ironically, when I stumble upon that other quote, and I'm like, whoa, what a small world. But anyway, I'm saying that to say, definitely check out that recording because I went in a lot more details regarding, not how our spiritual life it's it's our purpose pretty much. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, if we're using going back to that candle example, right? So without, if you don't, if it's not lit up, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not a candle, but it's not doing what it's supposed to do. And the same thing also applies for you, But again, that has to do with our essence. So the true, I mean, there are so many. We're definitely gonna get to it. But in terms of in terms of you being your best self, you have to feed. I mean, your spiritual life. I mean, it is your essence, pretty much. So that's why when you understand that, there's no other way around it. Because and that's why I was also saying that we all need God. You gotta have God in your life. And if there's no God, you would have to create one. And how do you know the ones that we're talking about are not created anyway? And my whole point is this too. I mean, regardless of what it is, you have to create God for yourself anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because we all need it. That's the way we operate. It's part of our essence. We need something greater than us for us to thrive. That's why we have superheroes. I mean, we love superheroes. It's part of us. We have to explore the godhood in us, those divine qualities, And as we do so, and that's how we also get to explore them in us. Does that make sense? I mean, I hope I'm not confusing you guys because because a lot of people have certain beliefs and understanding of what God is. And again, even if you were to personify God, you see, a lot of us we don't understand the science behind. Let's just say He's God, He owned everything, and then somehow He made Himself. I mean, He came to our world, make Himself flesh and blood to be among us. I mean, this. I mean, you can't take it literal, man. Like if you try to take it literal, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But if you're looking at it from an esoteric perspective, because what this is truly telling you, like I always tell people too, when you look at Jesus, Buddha, what these people represent, they represent anybody who have attained the highest level of consciousness. Then you become Christ-like, you become Buddha-like. So when you see God is being, that's the way, it's another way to let you know that you have to materialize God in your life. Everything we do have to be materialized. Just like we always say knowledge is power, other people would tell you nope, it's potential power. I understand what they're saying. It's potential power until it's being applied. So meaning that, but when you say the knowledge being applied or that transformation, it's you at this point now who become the knowledge. Meaning you're not just thinking critically, but now you're also acting critically. I mean, what you're thinking, your thoughts and your actions have to match up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it definitely they definitely got to match because you don't want to be. Let's just say you're saying you're smart, man. Then you're making dumb fucking decision. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I mean, we call what we say we call dumb people because they make dumb actions. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is no shot at nobody. This is This is just making a point here. This is for educational purposes. But again, it's to show you the actuality in our spirituality. It has to materialize, and the best way for that to happen is by you applying it into your life. And that's why I always tell people to say Jesus means nothing until you start acting like Jesus. And you cannot start acting like Jesus if you don't see Jesus as almost like you, or if you don't see yourself in Jesus, or if you don't see Jesus in you, however you like to put it. So I'm saying all of that to say, again, going, because all of these things are being said, believe it or not, these are all packed into that statement. Because if that statement is telling you, just like candle, right? So you know how fire is important to a candle. And so it is to your life, because our sanity stems from our spirituality. For us to thrive, just like Jesus was talking about, again, this is all talking about you and your regular life. And early on, I guess before I got cut off, because this is going to be, I guess, part two for lack of better terms, but I'll edit it and connect it, whatever. But what I'm saying here is this. I was trying to help you to connect the dot, trying to show you how what's taking place in our regular life, and this is what those quotes are saying, or this is what the Bible is saying, because it's tomatoes. This is what mythology is saying, because all of those esoteric knowledge, they are there to serve you. Even that Jesus statement, that's letting you know that you need more than wine and food, but you also need to hear from God. Yes. When you start seeing that, if you could connect the dot, look at your regular life, right? You need, ever since we were a kid, we went to school, we know that there is more to us than what we appear to be. We also understand you need to have a good state of mind, and that's what's going to balance your life. So I'm trying to get you to make the connection. Only then can the word be made flesh. And only then you would understand when we're talking about the Christ or consciousness, what that is exactly what it is. It's you becoming more conscious of this current reality that you're living in. Because this current reality is not what it appears to be. There is a lot more to it than what it appears to be. So, excuse me. Now, going back to connecting the dots, because I want you to understand, even the Bible is there to serve you. The instructions, the information that is being put in the Bible, and how it's being put, like when they talk about a God, that you say, God's been made flesh. What this is referring to is actually referring to you. Because for you, your essence, the way you operate, you got to see it, then you project it in your life. Let me say that again. Let's just say that's how, in other words, when we say you need to change your life, for you to change your life, you got to change your thoughts. Let me use this example. If you think money is everything, and of course, what this is saying is not just having an idea that money is everything, but what this is truly saying is when you look around and what you become conscious of is you see money as being everything, then as a result of that understanding, you would do anything for money because you already see money as everything. If it's everything, shit. I mean, it's the. I mean, what is considered everything, anything, it's the least amount of things. To be honest, you know what I'm saying? That's like if I'm saying God is everything. Shit, what would I not do for God if God is everything? Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? So, I mean, it's only right. But I'm saying that to say, and we all know that too. You act based, like you can only go as far as you go. Meaning your life, your understanding, you can only go as far as your understanding. So the whole aspect of materializing God so you could understand it. So, I mean, that's the purpose. But a lot of us, it's like a lot of people like, does it matter? Let's just say if Jesus was black or Jesus was white. Does it really matter? You know what I'm saying? All right. Let's just say Jesus was a nigga. Okay. What are we saying? Does that make you what? How is that going to help you? That is history. That's what took place. Jesus was a nigga. Yahshua, there was no J. It's not Jesus. Cool. Knowledge. You dropping knowledge, baby. How the fuck is that helping you? You saying this to say what exactly? So it wasn't a true Jesus or the Jesus they giving you that's not that. But yet, at the end of it all, what do you make out of it? See, that's why I always tell people it doesn't matter. If the external or the historical Jesus, I mean, even if we're talking about you, even me right now, or even anybody. In fact, in my last recording, I talked about Tupac Shakur, right? Even if you're going to talk about Tupac, right? I mean, you may say, okay, he was born in New York, live in Cali, West Coast, outlaws, and all that shit. Okay, but what made him the person that he was? Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, what makes him who he was because of his spirit, a freedom speaker. Do you see what I'm saying? It was the person that he was. So even for you to know him, yes, you could be like, okay, so he was born in New York. Okay. And then what else? I mean, that would also all be part of him. But the true things that you would need to know about him is his character. Just the same way we do for anybody else. For me to know who you are, I mean, yes, I mean, it helps to know what you look like, to identify your physical features. That's nice. But yet, there's more to you than that. So that's my whole thing. So even when you're talking about Jesus, do you see what I'm trying to say? Now, what Jesus has to do with all of this, because this is all spiritual, I'm trying to help you to connect the dots, because if you truly understand that statement, what that statement is telling you truly is that is reflecting your essence. It's letting what moves you, what your essence is. Your essence is spiritual life. It's spirituality. Because you are spirit. Or if you want to call yourself a human being, whatever you choose to identify with, at the end of the day, for you to elevate, for you to become a better version of yourself, you need God. You don't want to call it spiritual life, you don't want to call it spirituality. Well, you need a higher being. You could call it your higher self, you could call it God, and whatever being you choose to choose, or whichever God you choose to choose, you will be the one to approve it. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you could be, you know, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. It's important for you to understand God mentally and emotionally. Because even if you were to come up to me now and be like, "Yo, listen, Lespri, man, God means everything to me. God is my life. Is this and that. I know." But that would be your personal emotional experience with God. And even myself, like, you know what I'm saying, if I were to tell you anything about God or spirit, it would be my personal emotional experience. Isn't it not? Then now when you're looking at God from a, let's just say a mental perspective, then you could identify him as maybe a he or a she. But also you also identify that it is, like when we put God, that's why we all need God. Even when you put God in your relationship, what you're doing there is that you are saying this is technically what you're doing. You are acknowledging a higher self between, I mean, you're going beyond us. And that's why God is always going to work. When you put God in your relationship, it's always going to work. In fact, you should be put God in everything that you do. Because what you're truly doing here, you know how people are saying for God's sake, or I mean, not necessarily for God's sake, but when you, let's just say you're a Christian, you're married, and you put God in your relationship. I mean, did you call him somewhere? Like, did he somehow show up to you somewhere? Right? I mean, it's none of that. So what you're truly doing is acknowledging something greater. Let's just say, for lack of better terms, than my personal ego and my wife personal ego, or my girlfriend personal ego. So now, when we join, we put God in it. It allows us to elevate. It's like we're looking out not just for me and not just for you, but we're looking out for the both of us. So God technically it's bringing out the best in you. And that's why if that motherfucker don't exist, you have to create him. And but you also got to be careful too, because whichever God you choose, let's just say you don't, and how how do you know Yahshua? All of that was not created. I mean, it was created anyway. But anyway, we're not going to be stagnant in that. The bottom line of what we're talking about here, and I think this is deeper because it allows you to have a deeper understanding of not just the Bible, but to understand this is an esoteric knowledge. It's not meant for you to be taken literally. But most importantly, that knowledge is there to help you. When, let's just say, myself as a spiritual healer telling you about you need spirituality in your life, or you should be devoted your life. I mean, that's how you attain your highest level of consciousness. Just like when you go to school, we understand how education help us to have a balanced mind so we could make more rational decisions. So, in other words, what you have here, it's something that is non-physical, because now you're dealing with intelligence. You're dealing with what we call in the occult your dark side, meaning it's not physical. I cannot touch your intelligence. I could see the reflection in it, perhaps through what you're talking about or throughout your actions. But yet again, that's the only time I get to see it. And that's also another, and that's, isn't that what we're doing? We are a reflection of that. That's why some people will call this body an avatar. I get it. That's why you are more than what you appear to be. So when you understand your essence, and again, spirituality and all of these things, is this regular life. Now you become, when you become Christ-like, what you're doing is now you become a lot more conscious of who you are. So therefore, you become more sensitive to energy. You become more receptive to the universe, to other intelligences, to other spirits, good or bad. So again, I mean, to me, that statement is it's a fully loaded statement because it reveals our essence. And if you understand that, you understand your essence. Oh, baby, you there because that's what the work is all about. Knowing who you are, that's what's gonna set you free. When you understand you are your spiritual life, it's you. I mean, you are spirit. Then when you conscious, you wake up to that understanding. You got to wake up to it though. I mean, just me saying it here is one thing, but when you get to realize it, that's how you wake up to the truth. And that's why nobody can save you. You, only you can save yourself. We all have to wake up to the truth because the truth is all around us. It was never anything that was, there's nothing new. I mean, in terms of what is being said. You know what I'm saying? It's always something that's been said, and then one day, or as you are growing, or you awaken to it, by now you're like, you can make the connection. So that statement is saying so much, not just about your essence. So I mean, the essence is a big part, but also now, you got to look at, okay, um, so this you being a spirit, what are you dealing with? What moves you? And that's why I was talking about, like your purpose is for you to seek God. Because for you to thrive, for you to become the best version of you, you have to eat from, God's wisdom, for lack of better terms. Or if you want to call it God, you call it intelligence. It's all part of it. For you to thrive. I mean, then you realize this is our essence. Any and every human being, anyone who have not fed their mind, those are the ones who are left behind. Those are, you know, the rest. I don't think I need to go there. I mean, you know, and isn't that the reason why, if we want to make a difference, you make a difference by learning, by developing yourself. I mean, that is your business, dog. Just like, what I'm saying, a lot of us are working out. You making sure the fucking aesthetic is on point. Well, you got to make sure this is on point too. Because at the end of the day, everything you do is actually mental. Even you working out. It's all mental. You know what I'm saying? A strong mind, a strong body. It's all mental. When you're ready for it, you do it. That's why it all starts with you too. But again, this statement, there's so much that is being said here. If you understand your essence, oh man, now your essence, you're just gonna have to delve in it. For you to thrive, you gotta know your essence. For you to become Christ-like or a best human being or a better human being, you need to feed the non-physical aspect of yourself. You have to feed your mind. You need knowledge. You need God. All right, so I'm just gonna leave it here because there's so much that can be said. But just to summarize real quick, understand this. without what we call a living corpse. A living corpse is someone, is also a zombie, and ignorant, meaning you are alive, I mean, you're breathing, but yet you're not conscious. It's like you're alive, but you're not alive. And like I always tell people, listen, we all of us were born here, we all gonna die. So being born, then having to die, it's we can't stop it. But what you can do though, it's what takes place in the middle. Meaning you in the right here and the right now. That's why you being born doesn't matter and your death doesn't matter neither. Because besides, you don't have control over neither one of them any fucking way. And like I always say too, when there's death, where's there's death, there's no life. And where there's life, there's no death. I mean, if I'm alive, I could see a friend of mine dead. But if I'm dead, well, I'm dead. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like where there's life, there's no death. When there's death, there's no life. So I'm saying that to say it doesn't matter anyway. If you're alive, well, nigga, that's all you should be concerned with. And that's why we say, and even Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. Do you understand? That's why you let the dead bury the dead, man. Because death and life don't go hand in hand. So I was also saying all of that to say that's why what you do, you making it count by being alive. You got to make things count. That's when you got to put the work in you. It's your responsibility to develop your mind. You know what I'm saying? To seek for God, because God will elevate you, literally. Doesn't matter if it's Yahweh, is it Allah, Muhammad, doesn't matter. Tomatoes. In fact, what you call God, that's exactly what this motherfucker called Allah. So y'all talking about the same shit, just different names. But now to understand why you even got to say God, you even got to say Allah. Now this is wisdom now. Now this is when, you got to sit among the elders for that one. This is when now the Bible or the Quran or whatever the fuck, the Krishna, whatever, now those become, they're serving you now. And a lot of our ancestors who understood the science, they always had to materialize God. There's a reason for it. And it's not, the fairy tale that motherfuckers are telling you. And, Jesus, the only Son of God, he had to come to flesh just to save us. The representation of the divinity in human form is you. That's what this is trying to get you to recognize. And anybody who, like Jesus did, who gave their life to God, well, you will act like Jesus. The same thing Jesus did. Didn't he tell you that? Do you get it? What the fuck? I feel like, do y'all motherfuckers get it? I mean, you can only act that way because you're on the same frequency. That's why when we're talking about Jesus, the Christ consciousness, it's energy. It's understanding. And when you have that understanding, just like he did, well, guess what? You're gonna act, you're gonna do the same thing. He carried his own cross, the same shit he went through with society and all that shit. And you, as let's just say a light worker or someone who choose to follow or to follow the road less traveled, the same things will be happening to you. That's what the message is. This is to build you up. This is as a uh, what's the word that I'm looking for here? It's as a guideline. The Jesus story, the mythology is a guideline for you. That's why it's there to serve you. When you look at the Job story, the Joseph story, the like I am Joseph, nigga. I am the Christ. Now, if you know my story, you know. But if you don't know my story, all I'm trying to tell you is that a lot of those stories, they really, I mean, it's being put, it's being told a certain way. The whole purpose of it is for you to understand that it is part of your life. It is you. Just like God takes form, like this is who we are. As a religious man, not based on the current or the mundane definition of religious man, it's a man of God. It's God. It means God consciousness. So meaning, and when you're looking at me from a human being perspective, now I'm talking to you about the divine, which is not physical, but through my speech and through myself, I'm making the divine. I'm humanizing the divine. And that's what we do every time the word is being made flesh. Every time you have knowledge and you become wise, every time, I mean, you that's what it's supposed, that's where your transformation is. That's where your growth is. Besides, Jesus got had to be like you for you to be if you how do you relate to him if he's not like you? But anyway, we're gonna leave it there. You know what I'm saying? Always remember, man, like I was talking about today, man, money. You know what I'm saying? If you think money's everything, then you do everything for money. And the same is also true if you don't think money's everything. Well, guess what? You're not gonna do everything for money. And always know, the remedy of the pain is in the pain. I sent.